Morning, everybody. I've just completed my first year in ordination training. I've done 40... Thank you. Yeah, I can't quite believe it myself, actually. I've done 40 lectures, 3 away weekends, 10 assignments in 22,923 words. I've covered mission in our parish, academic Bible study, Christian ethics, Christian discipleship, preaching, worship, and theological reflection. So I'm kind of ready for a break. But I think for all of us, this must be about the busiest time of the year. If you're at school, you've just completed your year-end exams, or your GCSEs, or your A-levels. And after years of pressured months of study, tests and more homework, it's probably the hardest our students work. I've got so much respect for our student population. I think they certainly worked a lot harder than I did when I was at school. And if you're a teacher, well, you might have a brief break now, but I know that there's soon time and it's ready to prepare for the next term's lessons. And what about if you're a university student? Well, you've just completed end-of-year exams, or maybe you've reached that amazing feat of graduating, maybe even this week. And what about if you're at work? Q2 results have or have just been released. Half-year appraisals are being done. And you're busy doing all those things you'd said you'd do when you agreed it with your boss back in January. The exec are looking at the half-year results and projecting year-end. They'll be gearing up the business for the second half plans and the work that this creates. They're trying to get all this in place now, so when the business hits the ground running in September, all employees are returning back from holidays ready to go. There's no time to waste. And if you're behind plan, then there's actions to catch up on. And if you're ahead, then there's activity to build on that wave. And what about if you're in government? Well, there's a new leader in place now. Sir Keir is eager to demonstrate his promises and that people's lives are beginning to change. He wants to deliver on these promises now. He's got a huge majority in Parliament, and that probably in itself brings more responsibility to the country. Civil servants will be feeling the government's downward pressure of this and the changes it will leave and weed into local government. But then again, you might be retired, free to work on all those things you wish you'd had time to do when you worked. Now, I'm starting to join these ranks, but I'm busier now than I ever was. How on earth did you retired people ever find time to work 5 days a week and do all this? Someone told me that the busiestness you have in your retired life mirrors the pace you have from your work life. And it's kind of true, I'm finding. So one of the books I read on my course was An Altar in the World by Barbara Brown Taylor. Barbara was once asked by a priest to talk in their church. She asked, well, what topic would you like me to talk about? And the priest said, come and tell us what is saving your life today. Come and tell us what is saving your life today. So Barbara's sermon in response to this was to figure out what our lives depend on. Find God in ordinary, everyday places. Do this every day. So to figure out what our lives depend on, to see God in everyday places. So to do that, we need to stop, stand still, and watch to be able to see this. as I was preparing this sermon, this really started to relate to me. I thought to myself, I need to find time to fit God more into my diary. And then it hit me like a train. I need to fit God into my diary? No, absolutely not. This is about me fitting my diary around God. This is the time of year to reflect, to stop, to slow down, and feel the presence of God in our lives. Jesus often did this. In Mark today, he says to his disciples, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place. Get some rest." So summer's just arrived. Schools have broken up, and summer holidays are just around the corner. That is, unless CrowdStrike does another antivirus update. So whether you're going away for a staycation or whether you're staying around, it's time for a change in place. Now I realise that this might seem impossible. We can't just waste time doing nothing. There's too many things to be done and to be getting on with. But we can. This is when we connect with God, sense his presence, develop our relationship with him. As Barbara Brown Taylor says in her book, figure out what our lives depend on. Find God in ordinary, everyday places. How am I being saved today? So take some time over the next few weeks to reflect upon your discipleship. Why are you a disciple of Jesus? To love God and one another, to walk in Jesus' footsteps, to experience peace and simply be. For me, John 8 summarizes why we're disciples when he says, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." So how might we then look at bringing this more into our lives? Not fitting God into our diaries, but fitting our diaries around God. Rowan Williams says, in another book I read in my course, in Growing Disciples, it's about being in a constant, continuous relationship with God. It's having a relationship with him without interruption. Watch for him. Listen for him in the world. Ask, what is God giving me through this experience, through meeting this person? Matthew simply tells us, ask and it will be given. Search and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. So in your times of simply being, feel your breathing. Clear your heads of the noise of the day, the things you haven't yet done, and what you've still got to do tomorrow. Just be in the moment, right now. Listen to him. Be guided by him. Put your life in his hands. Be refreshed by the wash of the Holy Spirit over you. Know that you are in God's plan, that you are known, you are loved, and you are held. So I'll leave you with some of the words from the psalm today, Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Thank you.